All right, I think we're live here. So I'm David Antignoli with Night City, and I'm here with Sebastian from Indie City Games, and we are here to kick off the Chicaghoul 2023 Community Game Jam. Um,
Heck yeah.
so we don't have a ton of stuff to go over here. The themes and rules for the game jam we wanted to try to make like as minimal as we could get away with in order to make it real easy to participate for as many folks as possible. But there are a few things. So first of all, um, the game jam, like the games need to be Halloween or horror related. So that's all there really is in terms of like themes to the jam. The other thing that we're kind of excited about but didn't want to make like a hard requirement was this idea of creating like a movie style poster to show off for the title of your game. So,
Yeah,
Seb, can you
we'd
explain
love
that
to.
a little?
Yeah, we just want to hopefully enhance the physical space a little bit more by sort of creating sort of the energy of horror B movie screenings. So there are instructions on the jam page for just what your printing size and DPI should be for your poster file, and we just ask that you include that as a PDF when you're submitting your game if you choose to do so. It doesn't have to be. It's by no means a hard requirement, but if you do submit it with your game and your game is featured at Night City, we'll absolutely print that up and use that to sort of just spruce up the space and increase the vibe.
Yeah, I think it'll be
And
really
then
fun if we get a bunch of posters.
I'm looking forward to it. And then we
Um,
do ask that you also tag your entries with Chicago 2023. This is also on the jam page. So just we ask that you do that as a means for us to help categorize it, because we would love to do this yearly going forward.
yeah, absolutely. So, the actual official rules, in addition to tagging the entry with Chicago 2023, is all outlined on the game jam page, which in theory you can see on my screen here. But we, because of like limited space in the physical, venue, we unfortunately won't be able to show every game, depending on how many are submitted. So we have some rules for official selection. And what I want to underscore is that we're going to be blind reviewing the entries, to try and make sure there's no. Ideally, we'll find some game industry professionals that really are less connected to the Chicago indie game scene, I think, in order to make sure people don't recognize things, and make it as neutral as possible. But I also ask that in order to facilitate a real blind review process, please leave your names and your team members' names out of any, leave any identifying information out of the actual game itself until after we announce the official selections, which will be on the 19th. This will just make sure that Seb and I can distribute, copies of the game to, the selection committee, that is truly anonymous and will get the most fair evaluation that we can get. And then as soon as we do the official announcements, you can, we encourage that you go in and give yourself and your teammates credit. That's important. And you can put your credits on your itch page. I won't share the itch pages themselves with the selection committee, just the games. So that's um, another factor. Um, yeah, and other than that, I mean, I think, well, I guess another important thing about official selection is because this is really just in order to make sure we have enough room for everyone. If you're not able to make it to the show and bring what you need to show the game, that is another like factor in which titles we're going to officially select. So we want to make sure that the folks who can actually be here are going to be the ones that we showcase their work. But regardless of whether you can make it or not, we absolutely would love to have a submission from you, I'd say. And we will definitely leave the submissions. Everything that's submitted will be on the jam site itself.
And maybe most importantly is the fact that we are lucky enough to have this be a sponsored jam. So, Dread XP is generally working with us to provide prizes for everyone who's officially selected.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. We are really fortunate and happy to actually have prizes for this game jam. So it's pretty. They've offered some pretty generous prizes. But I think what's also cool is that we're going to, at the in-person showcase on the 20th of October, there will be an audience vote, and if all the attendees who show up and play the games and vote will be entered into a couple of drawings to win prizes, games from Dread XP. So that's really fun too, I think. Just to encourage people to show up and participate across all levels, whether it's development or just supporting local artists.
Yeah, and we do definitely, if you happen to know artists who would like to collaborate, reach out if you know someone who might want to collaborate with you on the poster. Maybe we just ask that you would credit them like you would any other member of the team.
Definitely. Yeah, we want to get as much participation as we can. All right, well, I think that covers the main bases. If any questions come up in the chat here, Sebastian and I are happy to answer. Otherwise, we should point out that you can always go to the Indie City Discord, which is linked here somewhere at the top under quick links. Yeah, the Indie City Games Discord is here, and that's a spot we'll constantly be checking if any other questions come up. And it's also a great spot to look for collaborators.
Yeah, so true. We have a channel dedicated to it, so go looking for people. You can also check on the Jams page itself because we have the community options open.
Awesome. All right. Well, unless there's anything you want to add, I don't see any questions so far in the stream chat.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's it on my end. I'm just excited to see what everyone makes. Horror's like my favorite genre. So this is always a very exciting time of year for me. I'm just excited to see what people make.
Yeah, me too. I think Halloween really captures the spirit of what I want to do with Night City, because it basically turns the whole city into this like participatory art experience where everybody's dressing up. That's another thing. If you want to wear costumes to the showcase on the 20th, I think that's awesome. The more enchantment and interesting flavor we can bring to the event, the better. And so yeah, I'm really excited about a Halloween event myself. I do see a question here. It says, do you prefer games to be downloadable instead of just being web builds? I guess that will facilitate the blind review thing. So I don't really care after that, but because of the blind review, I think it'll be a lot easier if I can just send a bunch of builds to the reviewers and there's no easy way to see who did it, Great question though. I hadn't considered that. And I guess
the web build.
Oh, go ahead, Sebastian. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say a web build is fine. Just include like a downloadable version with it for judging. Is all we ask. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
Kier said it doesn't have to be scary. Just like if it's not scary, should be in fitting with the season.
Right. Yeah, we're not looking for a way to like exclude your game, just as long as it's not completely unrelated to what we're doing.
Yeah.
I guess ultimately it's up to the judges, though.
True.
Oh, that's something we haven't talked about. the criteria.
True,
Uh,
yeah. We have a few of them. So it's not visible on the jam page yet, but what we're mainly looking for is we have a few categories we've set up, but mainly engagement, playability, the general presentation of it. So just your overall visuals, your aesthetic, and then the cohesion with the jam theme, which really shouldn't be a concern as long as you're, in keeping with the spirit of it. But I think mainly we are looking for just overall engagement.
right. And I think a way to interpret that, like, because this is a game jam that will culminate in an in-person showcase, I think I really want to encourage folks to think about what kinds of game ideas will work well in that atmosphere. So, in other words, if your game needs like a long tutorial to understand, it's probably not gonna work super well for an in-person show. I think if you think about arcade games, games that are really um, immediately clear and understandable, and people can just walk up and try and don't feel intimidated to try. Those are normally the ones that work the best in this kind of atmosphere, which I will acknowledge is maybe a little tricky for horror if you're trying to scare people. Um, it's an interesting challenge. And I guess I'd also say, like, I know sound design is pretty critical to this, to a lot of like horror atmospheres. And so since it will be a loud show, um, bring headphones for your game. Folks are on the hook for bringing whatever you need to show your game in the best light. All I can promise to the officially selected entrants is like 30 inches by 30 inches of table space at least. So you will be on the hook for bringing like a laptop and headphones or whatever else you might need, a gamepad, etc.
Yeah, I mean, I think that about does it for me on my end.
Any other questions before? No monitor setup. I do have a few monitors at the venue, but I don't know. I I want to try to make a. I don't have enough for everyone. Let's put it like that. And depending on how many entrants there are, so we can navigate that once we see how many games we're dealing with. But I would say don't bank on it just to be safe. Cool. All right. Well, I think that about covers it for now. If you have further questions for myself or Sebastian, you know how to find us in the Indie City Games Discord. Thanks so much for showing up for the kickoff stream. We're super excited, and I guess we'll see you on Discord. Take care.